From Washington, D.C., this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Hena Zuberi. Our top story tonight. President Joe Biden made history Tuesday by becoming the first sitting U.S. president to stand with striking workers. He joined the United Auto Workers Union outside a General Motors plant in Belleville, Michigan. Biden praised them for their sacrifices during the 2008 auto industry crisis and emphasized the important role of the middle class and unions in nation building. He said he was committed to better wages and working conditions. The union expanded its strikes to all General Motors and Stellantis distribution centers in the U.S. because of the company's negligence in negotiations. More than 18,000 auto workers are on strike against General Motors, Ford, and Stellantis, demanding better wages and benefits. Recent polling data shows 62% of likely U.S. voters support the strikes.
In breaking news, a judge in New York has ruled against Donald Trump and his adult sons, holding them liable for fraud. This monumental decision has resulted in the cancellation of the Trump Organization's business certification, placing the former president's financial empire in jeopardy as he seeks re-election. The Monday ruling rebuffs Trump's denial of inflating the values of his various properties, including golf courses and Mar-a-Lago. This legal blow stems from a lawsuit filed by New York Attorney General Letitia James, who is pushing for a staggering $250 million in damages. Additionally, the suit seeks to ban the Trumps from holding officer positions in any New York business and aims to halt the company's business transactions for the next 5 years.
The U.S. government's plan to introduce a free online public tax return system is facing opposition from Intuit, the company behind TurboTax. TurboTax is a software package for preparing U.S. income tax returns. The Internal Revenue Service recently announced plans to test a free online system, which has been met with resistance. Intuit suspects a free IRS tax return tool could be detrimental to Black taxpayers, citing a study on racial disparities in IRS audits. However, ProPublica reports Intuit's opposition to direct file is financially motivated. Researchers told the online news outlet that the company is targeting Black and brown people to stoke fear of the direct file tool because these groups are critical to Intuit's profit margins. TurboTax, a leader in the online tax return industry, has faced criticism and accusations of misleading customers with claims of free tax returns. The Federal Trade Commission recently ruled a fraud case against Intuit can proceed. In 2014, ProPublica reported on an Intuit-led campaign against the free tax return, which pre-fills tax return data in a manner similar to other countries. Now the IRS wants to develop an online tool similar to TurboTax, which will soon undergo a test run. In Nevada and Arizona, local figures opposed the system proposed by the IRS, saying it would give too much power to the agency's website. It's likely the IRS will continue its pilot program next tax season, despite industry opposition. California has imposed taxes on firearms and ammunition to raise funds for programs to improve school safety and to combat gun violence. The newly enacted law, signed by Governor Gavin Newsom as part of a series of new gun safety measures, imposes an 11% excise tax on firearms and ammunition sold by gun manufacturers and dealers. The law tightens state regulations on carrying guns in public and mandates micro-stamping on handgun cartridges to help track guns used in crimes. Newsom emphasized the effectiveness of gun safety laws in saving lives. California's firearm death rate is 43% lower than the rest of the nation. Over the past decade, California's gun laws have helped save the lives of 19,000 residents. A federal judge ruled Tuesday that former President Donald Trump and his company, the Trump Organization, lied to banks and insurance companies. Judge Arthur Engoron of the First Judicial District of the New York Supreme Court said Trump, along with his son Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr., and longtime Chief Financial Officer Alan Weisselberg, exaggerated the value of assets and net worth in documents to secure deals and financing. The ruling came just days before the start of a non-jury trial. Engoron ordered the revocation of Trump's New York business licenses. The move likely will make it impossible for the Trump Organization to do business in the state. Engoron also said he would hire an independent monitor to oversee the Trump Organization's business. As well, the judge also ordered the defendants to propose within 10 days up to 3 potential independent receivers to manage the dissolution of the dissolved limited liability companies. Law enforcement agencies are expressing concerns about the potential for political violence, given the possibility of former President Donald Trump facing conviction in one of his 4 criminal trials. With Trump the likely Republican presidential nominee in 2024, officials are wary of violent reactions similar to the January 6, 2021 events or isolated attacks by individuals. The New York Times reports investigators and judges associated with Trump's indictments now have 24-hour protection. That's due to fears that threats could escalate, especially if Trump is defeated in 2024. The report also notes that in the past year, the FBI has had 2 fatal confrontations with people making threats. One incident occurred in Utah where an armed individual threatened to assassinate President Joe Biden ahead of his visit. Experts attribute the volatile environment primarily to Trump's influence, along with some Republican leaders not speaking up against violent narratives on various platforms. Following the FBI's visit to Trump's Mar-a-Lago property to retrieve stolen government papers, threats against the agency's personnel surged. The Times notes threats have increased more than 300%, with personal details of FBI employees being disseminated online. The agency has established a specialized unit to address the rising threats. JPMorgan Chase has agreed to a $75 million settlement with the U.S. Virgin Islands following allegations the bank facilitated Jeffrey Epstein's illegal activities for over a decade. Of the agreed amount, $55 million will be directed to local charities and support for victims, while the remaining $20 million will be used for legal expenses. The bank clarified that the state settlement does not include any admission of wrongdoing, but it expressed regret over its association with Epstein. A representative from JPMorgan said the settlement funds will be used by the U.S. Virgin Islands to bolster law enforcement efforts against human trafficking and related crimes. From the settlement, $10 million will be reserved for mental health services for Epstein survivors. The lawsuit against JPMorgan criticized the bank for allegedly ignoring Epstein's actions and continually financing him. The resolution comes just ahead of the case's scheduled trial. JPMorgan served as Epstein's banker from 1998 to 2013. Earlier this year, the bank settled another lawsuit with Epstein survivors for $290 million. In 2008, Epstein was convicted of child prostitution, and in 2019, he he died by suicide while awaiting trial on federal sex trafficking charges. The role of India's intelligence agency comes under scrutiny. Details of the story come after the break. Stay tuned and we will be right back. Welcome back. India's Foreign Intelligence Agency has come under scrutiny. This is following Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's claim of credible allegations that India was involved in the murder of a Sikh activist on Canadian soil in June. The Research and Analysis Wing previously limited its activities to South Asia. Now it appears that under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, it has expanded its operations and may be using more aggressive tactics. Sikh leader and Canadian citizen Hardeep Singh Nijjar was killed June 18th in a coordinated attack in the province of British Columbia. Modi's close associate Ajit Doval, a former intelligence director, has taken a prominent role in shaping India's intelligence approach. Doval has advocated a more assertive posture. The allegations challenge the traditional modus operandi of RAW, which favors influence operations over assassinations. However, experts believe RAW may have been encouraged to take on riskier assignments internationally under Modi's government. India is becoming a strategic partner for the United States and its NATO allies, particularly in containing China. Trudeau's allegations have heightened diplomatic tensions between Canada and India and led to the mutual expulsion of diplomats identified as senior intelligence officials from their respective embassies. Iraqis gathered Tuesday to celebrate the birth anniversary of the Prophet Muhammad in their nation's capital, Baghdad. Muslims globally observe the day, also known as Mawlid al-Nabi, on the 12th day of the Islamic month of Rabiul Awwal. Based on the Islamic lunar calendar, the day may vary from country to country. In related news, Muslims in the Egyptian city of Luxor held various events Saturday to honor the birth anniversary of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Activities started with prayers and worship and continued with traditional games. As part of the celebrations, Tahtib, a traditional stick-fighting game, and equestrian competitions were held. Many Muslims worldwide celebrate the 12th of Rabiul Awwal, known as Mawlid al-Nabi. The Prophet died on the same day as that of his birth at the age of 63. The day is a public holiday in several Muslim-majority countries, including Pakistan, Indonesia, Malaysia, Bangladesh, and parts of India. Pakistan's former Prime Minister Imran Khan was moved to a prison near the capital, Islamabad, Tuesday following a court order. The Islamabad High Court on Monday directed authorities to shift Khan from Attak jail to Adiala jail in Rawalpindi at the request of his lawyers. Footage aired on Geo News showed a heavily guarded convoy, including a bulletproof vehicle supposedly carrying Khan, entering Adiala jail. Other footage shows workers of Khan's Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf party gathering near the jail and showering rose petals on the vehicle. Earlier in the day, a local court extended Khan's judicial remand for another 14 days for allegedly exposing state secrets. The case is related to diplomatic communications between Washington and Islamabad, which Khan says was part of a U.S. conspiracy to topple his government. Former Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi on Tuesday was brought into court in Islamabad in handcuffs. His judicial remand was also extended until October 10th. Khan is accused of exposing an official secret when he waved a confidential diplomatic letter at a rally last year. He was ousted through a non-trust vote in April 2022. Dozens of Khan's supporters and party workers have also been jailed. They were arrested following violent protests in major cities and towns across the country over Khan's arrest on May the 9th. The World Health Organization has called on countries to ban smoking and vaping in schools to protect youth. The tobacco industry has relentlessly targeted young people, 9 out of 10 of whom start smoking before the age of 18. WHO Director of Health Protection, Ruidra Krech, says young people must be protected from deadly secondhand smoke and toxic emissions from e-cigarettes, as well as from advertising for these products. The WHO has released a new guide and toolkit for schools to make their campuses nicotine and tobacco-free. It provides step-by-step guidance on how to achieve this goal using a school-wide approach that involves teachers, staff, students, parents, and others. To date, countries such as India, Indonesia, Morocco, Syria, and Saudi Arabia, among a few others, have successfully implemented policies to make school grounds tobacco and nicotine-free. A new study has found that the unique biology of bats could provide important clues for cancer prevention and treatment in humans. The study, published in the journal Genome Biology and Evolution, claims bats have more than twice as many altered cancer-related genes as other mammals. By better understanding how bats tolerate viral infections and avoid cancer, researchers may be able to develop new ways to prevent disease outbreaks and treat cancer in humans. Researchers are working to learn more about the specific genes and proteins involved in cancer resistance in bats. They also believe comparative genome analysis of bats and cancer-prone mammals could provide new information about the causes of cancer and the links between cancer and immunity. That's all from our Washington, D.C. studios tonight. Thank you for tuning in. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon for the latest updates. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV or visit muslimnetwork.tv. Assalamu alaikum and good night.